straight line into the average person's heart and soul.
Imagine being the one woman who lived every sunrise and sunset with Merle Haggard and learning secrets he hid from the entire world. Her stories pull back a curtain filled with pain, scandal, and shadows that still send chills today. Haggard was not only a country legend, he was a maze of darkness wrapped in a guitar case. He connected to working people like a direct wire to the heart, yet his own life started on broken tracks. In a rough spring of 1937, in tiny Oildale, California, baby Merle slept inside a train car, cut from its rails, and turned into a make-do house. That iron shell was his first lesson that life can roll off course at any moment. His father passed before the boy could form real memories, and his church-going mother tried, but failed to keep her youngest child out of trouble. By 9, he was skipping class forging notes and stealing candy from corner shops. Each time the law grabbed him, he bolted. Reform school could not hold him. Home could not hold him. Nothing could lock young Merle down. At 15, he broke free again and drifted along highways playing battered guitars for coins and swapping stories with strangers running from their own demons. Trouble kept calling, and in 1957, disaster struck. Merle and a few friends aimed to rob a diner in Bakersfield, but customers were still inside, and the plan crashed. Police swarmed. Haggard was caught and sentenced to 15 months. Inside San Quentin, the walls felt alive with danger. He slept beside killers, ate beside hired guns, and feared every footstep. Panic clawed at him so hard he had ending his own life. Yet in 1958, Johnny Cash brought his famous prison show and sparked a tiny flame of hope. Haggard later said, "I cannot recall the song, but I remember the feeling the first time I wanted to survive, to do something decent." That spark pushed him to attend music classes and scribble lyrics on scraps of paper. In 1960, freedom arrived like a second birth, but the public did not forgive overnight. Clubs turned him away, record men whispered convict guitarists, and some neighbors crossed the street. When he walked by, he slept in an old camper and played backup for any singer who would pay a few dollars. Desperate to tour overseas, he begged the governor to erase his record. Some lawmakers cheered him as proof that a person can change, yet others balked. They asked what message we send if an armed robber becomes a star. A critic snarled Haggard can strum, but he should not be applauded. Those words cut deep, yet he used the pain as fuel. Songs poured out like confessions. Mama Tried was a tear-stained apology to his mother. Branded Man spoke with the voice of a former prisoner. Sing Me Back Home told of an inmate walking toward execution, and every line carried the weight of those steel doors. Fans felt that truth because it bled straight from his own conscience. Still, the past chased him like a shadow. Reporters dragged up San Quentin in every interview and scolded him when he refused to relive it. Listeners adored his sound, yet many doubted the man behind it. He had broken real chains, but could not break public judgment. Then came fame and fire. His debut album hit in 1965, and Blue Collar America claimed him. The single that exploded was Okie from Muskogee, a tune born from sudden anger. Some hailed it as a salute to small-town pride, while others blasted it as an attack on the anti-war crowd. Campuses protested concerts, and big city halls canceled dates. Follow-up tracks like The Fight Inside of Me deepened the split. Pressure mounted, and by the late 70s, Merle spiraled into heavy use of marijuana, alcohol, and especially cocaine. He once admitted spending thousands each week just to stay steady on stage. Before one Texas show, he smashed a guitar because a string snapped and the band froze in fear. Some nights he missed entire chords and then scolded the audience as people who do not respect art. A concert guest remembered Haggard could hypnotize you, then make you furious in the very same verse. Friends drifted away, and record labels warned him to clean up or lose everything. The most startling moment came in a Rolling Stone interview when he confessed, "I used to feel jealous of my fans. They got to cry my songs me. I just felt empty." Those 9 words silenced the industry because they revealed the lonely echo inside the star citizen. Offstage, the chaos followed him. She loved him but felt like a backup singer to his ego, and the strain broke them apart. Later, he tried new relationships, hoping love would drown the noise, yet the pattern kept repeating. Each split left wounds that bled into his next record, and fans could almost track his heartbreak by the crack in his voice. Money poured, and yet peace never came. He bought a ranch, new cars, and even small airplanes, but he joked he could not buy a quiet mind. Nights on tour buses turned into blurry marathons of cards, beer, and regret until sunrise. Bandmates told stories of waking to find him sitting alone staring at notebook pages filled with lyrics he was too tired to sing. Through it all, the music stayed raw and honest. Working man blues made factory workers feel seen. Hungry Eyes spoke to families pushed from home by poverty. Every track felt like a letter from a friend who understood hard luck. By the early 80s, he tried rehab and tossed his cocaine stash into a hotel trash, completing with a mirror for a fresh start. Fans cheered the comeback, and promoters opened doors again. Yet the press still led stories with the same headline former inmate Merle Haggard. The label stung, but he smiled on stage because the crowds were shouting his name louder than the stigma. Years later, awards arrived, Country Music Hall of Fame Grammy trophies, even a pardon that finally wiped his criminal slate clean. On that day, he joked, "I went in a thief and walked out a poet." The crowd roared because they knew it was true. The boy who once slept in a boxcar had written himself into American history. In the end, the legend stands on two truths. One truth is the soaring voice that painted the hopes of working families. The other is a shadow of a restless kid who ran from every wall until music caught him. Put them together, and you get Merle Haggard, a man who turned prison bars into guitar strings and heartbreak into hymns. Jealousy can cut deeper than any guitar string, and Leona Williams felt every slice. She hinted that Merle Haggard feared being outshined, so he kept her light dim. Even though she wrote several chart toppers, he limited her solo spots. One night, he scolded her on stage for missing a line, and she cried in front of the crowd. Their marriage cracked apart in bitter silence, and the gossip fires roared louder than any encore. When Haggard felt shaky, he pushed everyone away. Longtime pal Willie Nelson once sighed, "Some months I call Merle, and he wouldn't pick up. He just isolated himself." Haggard lived like a lone warrior, always bracing for betrayal. A chilling secret surfaced from 1985. Haggard was rushed to a hospital after a drug overdose, but the press never heard a whisper. Managers buried the story, yet that scare nudged him toward quitting cocaine in the early 90s. Even so, the hurt lingered. At a tiny private show, he confessed, "I have millions listening to my songs, but no one really hears me." That sentence fell like a hammer on every friend in the room. Tired of the spotlight's glare, he began hunting for something gentler: love. Enter Teresa and Lane, a 27-year-old who loved ZZ Top and barely knew his name. She only attended his 1987 concert because her mother begged her. Backstage, in thick cigarette haze and ringing amplifiers, Haggard locked eyes on her. He was 50. She was half his age. Teresa chatted with lead guitars clenched strong and planned to leave with him, but Haggard stepped in and barked, "Get the expletive out of here. She's my woman now." Fans still debate whether that moment was outlaw romance or pure control. Teresa did not run. Within days, she joined the tour bus, as if each held jagged pieces that finally fit. Haggard whispered to a friend, "I've never seen anyone smile at me like she does. Not because of the name I carry." They wed in 1993, his fifth union yet the longest of his life. They welcomed Janessa and Ben, but storm clouds rolled in anyway. In a rare chat, Haggard doubted Teresa's motives and almost called off the wedding. "Maybe she loves the glow around me, not me," he admitted, until her loyalty during his darkest hours proved him wrong. The pair shunned the spotlight. No glossy magazine shoots, no sweet reality shows, just hush. Outsiders wondered what secrets they guarded, but close friends said silence was their shield against fame's tornado. In the early 2000s, the weight of decades, addiction, grief, endless touring, pulled him into depression. He canceled big tours and holed up at home, sometimes sitting for hours without a word. New songs poured out, but most stayed locked away. Demo tapes later revealed a rougher, sorrow-soaked voice, a sound that mirrored his hidden gloom. Teresa never spoke about those hollow days. A veteran reporter claimed her silence spoke louder than 1,000 interviews. By 2015, Haggard's health crumbled from double pneumonia. Doctors begged him to stay in the hospital, but he refused. He wanted to pass at home, and Teresa honored that wish. On April 6, 2016, his 79th birthday, Merle Haggard slipped away in their arms. The family announced it with a brief post, and the quiet goodbye shattered fans worldwide. Yet whispers grew louder. Why had Teresa sealed every door around his final years? 1 year later, the mystery deepened at the Sing Me Back Home tribute in Nashville. Surrounded by Willie Nelson, Miranda Lambert, and Kenny Chesney, Teresa stood with swollen eyes. Cameras flashed, and she finally spoke. "I'm barely walking, 'cause I lost everything. He was my world." The entire hall fell still. That single line sparked a tidal wave online. People asked, "What is she hiding?" Reporters agreed her words felt like an open door to a room no one could enter. After that night, she vanished again. She turned down big money film offers, even one from the director behind the Johnny Cash biopic. A leaked email quoted her reason. "No one writes his life better than the life itself." Speculation soared. Was she protecting a secret chapter? Insiders whispered about quiet tension between Haggard's older children and Teresa's branch of the family. No suits were filed, but the near-total blackout only fanned the rumors. Silence can roar louder than any steel guitar. Fan forums buzz with a wild question. Was there a hidden one no one had seen? The mystery grew as Teresa and Lane quietly took over Merle Haggard's official Instagram page. Her posts felt like whispered prayers. She shared faded snapshots with captions as soft as a heartbeat. "Still here" or "April 6 again." Followers swore they could hear tears between the words. One image marked 6 years since his passing. A ballpark photo of Merle, and Teresa captioned simply, "I miss you, Merle." Every single day, the tribute exploded with more than 60,000 reactions and waves of pleading comments begging her to write a memoir. The crowd soon split into two camps. Some praised her hush as sacred devotion, while others feared silence might hide both light and darkness. A veteran Rolling Stone writer summed it up. "Teresa and Lane holds a story all of America wants to hear, but she may take it to her grave. All the public has now are a few words, a few photos, a few old songs, and a silence that stretches to suffocation." The quote struck like thunder, and fans leaned in even closer. The strange truth is clear. The quieter Teresa remains, the harder people listen. No one knows if secrets lie buried, but everyone agrees she knows every hidden corner of Merle's life. If words refuse to spill out, she answers through actions. Tending his music online, curating each memorial, and keeping his name shining like a lone star. Merle once confessed, "I don't write music to become a legend. I write because if I didn't, I'd drown in my past." That vow lives on. When his guitar fell quiet and his boots left the stage, the torch passed to the family he treasured. Born in 1992, youngest son Ben Haggard became the next messenger. He learned guitar on dusty tour buses and soaked up countless sound checks. After his father's death, Ben carried an outlaw heartbeat into the new century. He refuses to modernize classics. Every note stays true, every twang rings honest. In a Taste of Country interview, he vowed, "I don't sing to get famous. I sing to remind people my father was here and to keep his voice from ever fading." He now shares stages with Willie Nelson and Jamie Johnson, and fans hear Merle's echoes through him. Daughter Janessa chooses the shadows, but her impact is mighty. Together with Teresa, she guards the Merle Haggard brand. Music writes social pages, and every image. No tribute can flash Merle's likeness without their nod. This iron gate keeps his memory dignified and safe from thoughtless merchandising. Look beyond screens, and his presence still rises in real streets. In Oildale, California, a road now bears the name Merle Haggard Drive. It runs from the spot where he drew his first breath to the neighborhood that hosted his first studio. The family train car home stands in the Kern County Museum like a time capsule. Each year on April 6th, loved ones gather there. No press, no big stage, just songs drifting into the night. When Ben closes a set, he echoes his dad. "Thank you all for listening to a man who just wanted to be heard." That line rolls off his tongue like a prayer. Teresa and Janessa stand nearby, protecting not only a legend's image, but the very reason he ever sang, to be heard by someone who understood. In an age when icons become plastic logos, Merle Haggard's memory feels like a private monument carved by loyal hands. From prison bars to platinum records, he walked a razor edge between fame and heartache. His scars never hid, and his final companion never used them for shock. Teresa and Lane showed the world that even giants shelter shadows no one should trespass. Do stories like this stir your soul? Smash that subscribe button and tap the bell so you never miss a life still glowing behind the spotlight.